Welcome to the Viral Solutions podcast. Today we're going to talk about business owner burnout, how it happens, how to overcome it, why it tends to be prevalent with entrepreneurs. You know, when you start a business, there's something you're passionate about. Usually like a craft or a trade or a piece of knowledge you consider it to be unique, and it really inspired you, and you got excited about all of these ideas and things that you're good at, and especially being your own boss or heading up a new company or venture. And this business of yours was, and probably still is, your baby. You love your baby, but when your baby is your work, you tend to nurture it too much. And you find it hard to turn your brain off. And almost impossible to give yourself breaks, especially a solopreneur that's doing it all. People leading a company with employees, that gets to be easier. But when this happens, these tasks start draining your energy rather than igniting your passion like it used to. And that's not what you signed up for, but it is part of being an entrepreneur. You've succumbed to business burnout at that point, and you may not even realize it or view it as burnout. And you're not alone. But you got to take steps to overcome it. You got to jump on that consistency train. Because you can't be what your business or your employees or loved ones need you to be, let alone you may not be having fun. So why does business burnout happen? Well, owners get burnout at a pretty good pace. And it's pretty common. And it's an easy situation to fall into. And it tends to happen for many reasons, but the big three we found are this. Now, you always hear about this first one, this work-life balance. Now, I've always had a hard time with that because life is work, work is life for many of us, myself included. And I don't really do a good job of separating the two. And I often put business first. But what I've found that works well with work-life balance is having a physical space for work only versus the rest of your life only. And starting with those physical spaces that separate the two. And I get a lot of us are in a revenue situation or an employee count situation where business may always come first, but it does make it easier to separate the two from your home life if you have an out-of-home office or a home office that is totally off limits to everybody else. When you're in there, you're working, but also when you're not in there, you're not working. Try that. The second one of the top three is suffering from a lack of accomplishment or success. Success cures a lot of burnout, and sometimes entrepreneurs are known to work too hard to reach a standard of success and don't accept the fact that maybe the business plan they have is the problem and not necessarily themselves, because that brings on financial stress when their business is struggling, and that just adds to burnout. Top tip number 3 is you're trying to control and do too much at once. Might be a business owner that doesn't have a methodical build out of a business plan. Business owners tend to take on an unrealistic amount of work that could instead be delegated. Now, if you have employees, that's easy to do. If you don't, that's why partnerships and third-party relationships and temporary contracted agents tend to work really well. So recognize what your strengths are, more importantly, what your weaknesses are, and try to delegate out those weaknesses to somebody else. So what are the signs of business owner burnout? Well, it's important to recognize these signs so you can nip it in the bud, so to speak, before it gets too far along. And here's what to look for. You got low energy, both physically, emotionally, and you often feel worn out, tired eyes. You might have low enthusiasm, lost some of the passion and the purpose and the vision and feeling inspired. You start to question yourself and lose confidence. You might nap often or have trouble sleeping. You feel stressed, anxious, depressed, constantly questioning yourself, maybe irritable, frustrated, negative reactions, no matter what happens. When you experience these symptoms, it messes with your whole life. It makes you less effective when you are doing your work. It dulls your happiness and turns your passion into your prison. Ultimately, it can make you feel exhausted and unhealthy. It's horrible. But it's not without hope. So let's look at some ways to avoid business burnout or to pull yourself out of the situation if you're experiencing. And here's our 7 ways to overcome business owner burnout. First, strike a balance. According to Harvard Business Review study, entrepreneurs were labeled or termed, quote, harmoniously passionate, unquote, about their business and had a significantly smaller chance of suffering from burnout. Okay? So again, those who were termed harmoniously passionate suffered less burnout. These people were able to maintain a balance between business and other activities, or they at least made time for other activities. They didn't experience this conflict or guilt or negative effects when not engaging with work. So if you're feeling guilty for taking time for yourself, that's a warning sign. According to Harvard Business Review, on the other hand, those that were obsessively passionate about their businesses and business processes felt emotionally dependent on their work, had difficulty imagining their lives without their work, and felt their mood depended upon them being able to work. They often felt distracted by nagging feelings that they were neglecting their family as their health, but felt compelled to work almost 24/7. So it's clear that this balance between how you're obsessed, how you're passionate about what you do and what your business is, you got to be able to walk away to have a clear mind. And although you may hold yourself to high standards in your business, you're not immune to needing breaks. Number 2, end disorganization. When you have a never-ending list of tasks to accomplish, it's overwhelming. And I think we'll probably always all have those. But when it clutters your mind or you don't really focus on checking those tasks off as being complete rather than a bunch of half-built bridges. That's a problem. It makes you work on the tasks that aren't most important when you do that. You allow everything to fall into a state of disorganization. And that's the cycle that needs to be broken. You make a conscious effort to get yourself organized and keep it that way. This includes your files, your computer, your desk, your work environment. It means creating things that are procedural, documented. That tends to make things easier, if not more automatic. And it can help reduce distractions. Make sense? Now, on to number 3. Hopefully you use a calendar. And hopefully it's just not meetings and appointments, that it's also tasks or study time or downtime or time blocked out. And that's because when you have this, I'll get to it someday, that means it's just not going to happen. So if you've been meaning to go on a vacation, or maybe on a date with your spouse, you're likely so busy that it hasn't happened yet, or you don't do those things. It's something you mean to do, but it just doesn't happen. You got to schedule it. Buy those tickets and get going. No different than when you procrastinate on a task. Got to schedule it, got to get it done. Firm deadlines, hard appointments, those are things that got to get done. That's why you got to schedule everything. Put your most important tasks on the calendar and set up meetings. Schedule your fun time as well if you want it to actually happen. No different than meeting with a prospect customer, to-do list for work. Get it scheduled. Number 4, don't try and do everything yourself. We talked about this as one of the top keys of burnout. Because when you try to do it all, you wear yourself thin. You procrastinate doing the things you don't want to do, and your business and your health suffers because of it. It's essential that you learn how to delegate the tasks that fall into any of the following categories. They don't require your expertise. They make you cringe when you think of doing them. They are things that someone else could easily do. And there are things that other people are better at than you are. So don't kid yourself into thinking that you can do it all. I'm sure you can. But you'll notice that when you learn to delegate things, you'll be able to focus on what you do best. And that'll make you happier and a free thinker. And your business will hopefully take off, but it'll at least stabilize. It won't be held back and utilize the best person for each job. You'll feel less stress and more on fire about your business. Don't take on every opportunity that comes your way. Whether it's a client you don't resonate with, a project you really don't want to do, or a new business opportunity, you just can't do all of those. You didn't start your business to have another job and lack of freedom that comes along with it. You started it to do what you do best, in your own way, with no one telling you what to do. If you can't learn to say no to the opportunities, the clients, the projects that aren't for you, You won't find the happiness of being able to focus on what you love to do best. Number 6, try block scheduling. Block scheduling works wonders for many people. You block out each hour of what you're going to work on. Now, what I do at Viral Solutions is I start my day earlier than anybody else. And that has to do with my background. Being on a farm as a child. I'll start my day by, I'm up at 5. Used to be earlier than that. But I'll have about an hour or two of work done before any other team member starts their day. Now, yes, I also am out earlier than anybody else. But I have a very structured routine, and it works. The key to this strategy is sticking to a schedule and knowing when you've got to stop the amount of time you put into a certain activity and switch to another. It's one of the best ways to be more efficient with your time. It's been around for a long time, and for a reason, because it works. Number 7, set goals and celebrate achieving them. A lot of us are goal-driven. And when you hit that accomplishment, great. And what goals really help you with is to eliminate what we like to say is a half-built bridge. In other words, you're always starting all kinds of tasks you never finish. So your goals should be your own goals and company-wide goals. What are your goals for yourself, or things you yourself have to be the one to achieve? And what about team or company-wide goals, organizational goals? Those help set expectations, and it keeps everyone on the same page, and it helps your employees to feel excited about their jobs. So those are the 7 tips. The last one's probably the most important because it's how you achieve things. And achieving things fuels all the other points. It helps drive your motivation. It helps you be consistent. It helps you add good feelings of accomplishment in your organization. So end the miserable road to business owner burnout now, so that you can experience the benefits of business ownership by feeling content, happy, driven, goal-oriented, and be the best version of yourself, and let go of the rest. With a little more emphasis on structure, organization, delegation, balance, accepting the fact that you're probably not the best one to do everything, you'll feel like a different person. And your business will reflect that positivity as well. Thanks for listening to the Viral Solutions podcast. You can find our website at viralsolutions.net, or you can call us at 888-816-1222. Make it a great day.